Applause, I ain't done yet. Immortality got me weary since Kobe died. I got this watch on my arm, but I'll never know my time. So my focus lies in my work, which got me in overdrive. I can't break for a day. I'm in a maze of my mind. I can't make an escape.
Hey man, so we back with another episode of Decoding Two Sides of the System. Y'all, first off, thank you to all the new subscribers. Y'all, we've been going up crazy. Literally now we're at 61,000 subscribers. Y'all, I just did a video thanking y'all for me hitting 50,000. I'm so grateful for everybody that's tapping in, and I'm so glad that the family is moving forward. Just me knowing that I'm impacting so many people and so many people is getting help within the mental health way is really, it just really shines light on my heart and my passion to deliver you guys great content. And I got a very special guest today, y'all. First off, before I introduce this woman, me and her had a conversation off camera, and I swear I felt like I've been knowing her for years. She's somebody that's in the mental health field. She works with athletes in the sports psychology field. She does groups. She helps women. She's always giving out knowledge. She's from Louisiana, which is, y'all already know how I feel about Louisiana. Man, this woman just embodies everything in a person that I truly want to work my way up to be. She does speaking, conferences. She's truly about helping people, and she's on the front line with not wanting to be just a social media person. We have so many people today that want to be social media people to help people that want to post their job because it looks good. And she works with the highest of athletes, and she still decides to take the back seat. So this woman, to me, speaks volumes. She's amazing. And I'll make sure I pronounce it right. Dr. Q, right?
That's right, Dr. Q.
Dr. Q. Thank you so much for blessing my platform. Now, I introduce you, and I want you to introduce yourself to the people out there.
Hey, guys, I'm Dr. Q. I been in behavioral health, God, since I'm dating myself over 20 years, 25 years, 90s, if that makes any sense. Yeah, God, I guess I'm close to 30 years. So I have a passion for working with high performers and athletes and, just seeing what happens in their daily lives, and executive women. And I believe that mindset is everything. It governs everything. And mental health is it's the remnants of not being mentally fit. So, and then of course, some behavioral health issues and some brain chemistry issues that we see that. So that's me in a nutshell. And I am from Louisiana and love my great state of Louisiana. So that's the best.
Hold on. Tell them what part you from.
I'm from Crowley. It's like 20 Lafayette, Southwest Louisiana.
I love it. So I want to get into that. First off, what was it growing up in Crowley, Louisiana? And also, too, what gave you the vision to want to spread your wings outside of Louisiana?
It's I can look back and I was telling someone this, when we grew up, in the 70s, right? It was you can leave your windows up, it was a safe place, I had a wonderful, I have to say, looking back, I had a wonderful childhood. We played, we had a good time, but looking back, the one thing is that I miss family. Family was everything when we were growing up, and community was everything. And so I'm originally from Church Point, Louisiana. Small town, but
very small. I know what Church Point is. I've been there a couple times.
The culture is very heavy, and and we just love each other, and so I miss that. I miss the community. I miss the everything in Louisiana, as you guys know, is around food, and so we love around food. We disagree around food, and everything else. And so the best part about growing up in Louisiana is that everything was a celebration. No matter what it was in life, the Saints, they lost for a very long time, but we still celebrated every loss.
You're right. You're right about that. And just speaking on the small towns, y'all, You know, I say I'm from Lake Charles because most people really know that, but I'm originally from Cameron Parish. And what she's speaking on with the camaraderie in the community, there's no place like growing up in a small place like a Church Point. Because even when I grew up, y'all, I didn't have no McDonald's, I didn't have no Burger King. It was straight family-owned businesses. And the community, like, I didn't realize how special it was that I grew up until the hurricane happened, and then I had to move to a different space, you know. And I noticed that mentally everything changed, because just like you, I could walk from my mom's house to my grandmother's house at 1-2 in the morning, and if anybody see me, they gonna make sure I'm all right and it's good. So, you know, in those small towns, in the communities, it's a different type of feeling, because everybody feels like family. You know, like, you can go to anybody's house and get a plate of food, or just get that love of just feeling like, you know, just people wanting to reach out to you and speak to you. Like, it's different when you move to these different cities and things like that. And you definitely can't leave your window open now. So,
oh, definitely not. Even back home now, you can't.
Yeah.
Population's changed.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
culture's changed a bit. So, you know, but it's still the same love. It's still the same
love.
Love being from Louisiana.
Love it. There's no place like it. I tell people all the time living out here. I want to talk to you about, although we love where we come from, you know, what was the moment to where you realized that you wanted to, you know, further yourself outside of Louisiana? With me, I always watch TV shows. And one of my grandfather's favorite TV shows used to be called Las Vegas. He used to watch that all the time. And I used to watch that show, and I used to be like, dang, like, one day I want to get out there. My grandfather was an entrepreneur, and I was always around him, and I always wanted that mindset of having my own business and being able to provide for myself, but also help people. My grandfather gave a lot of people jobs and things of that nature. But, you know, whenever I started playing basketball, God blessed me with the opportunity to leave, and I went to LA and I went to Vegas, and that changed my whole demeanor and outlook on life, because it put me into a situation where I realized that the world is way bigger than my town. So what was your moment to where you realized the world was bigger than your town?
You know, it's interesting. I've always been adventurous. Everybody who knows me, I am adventurous. I follow whatever I want to do. I do whatever I want to do. I think I've been this way my whole life. So what's interesting is that I don't know. I think it's always been in me to be like, okay, I knew I wasn't staying home. That was just one of those things. I love home, but I knew I wasn't staying home. I needed more adventure. I needed to explore. And so, you know, a funny story is I went to McNeese. And
okay, yeah.
What a lot of people don't know my true story, I don't hide it, right? But my story is that I flunked out. I flunked out of college, and went to the Air Force. So that sort of propelled me traveling, right? And being in the Air Force, you know, I grew up, I matured, and looking back, you know, that's why I say it's never really failure. It's just delay. And so I ended up obtaining 5 degrees after that failure. So I think I've always known, let me get out of, not really get out, but it was just like, I want to see more. I want to do more. I want to make a change. You know, I always knew I would. Just being honest with you, you know, I had cousins in Texas, so they would always come. Had cousins in Carolina, you know, went there on vacation, on a trip, and just seeing the world. And I've always been adventurous, you know. A family member played for Patriots, so I took that ride. You know, so you know, just I was always that person. Hey, I'm going, and so yeah,
I like that. I like that. And I'll notice that you said something. Speaking on when you flunked out of school, you said it wasn't a failure. You said it was what'd you say again?
God, you know, sometimes I'm talking, I forget. It was a failure. I think it was.
Oh, just, yeah. You said delay.
Yeah, it was a delay. And you know, a lot of times we measure ourselves. It's all a mindset, right? We measure ourselves by years. Because a lot of my friends, they kept going. They finished college in their 4 years. Whereas I was okay with it. You know, I think it affected me a little bit, but I was like, you know, I knew I was smart. I knew I could do it, and nothing was going to stop me. It was just a delay.
And see, guys, and I want y'all to really take account to what she's saying. She said it wasn't a failure, it was a delay. Sometimes we go through things in life and we have to mature. So every time you go through something, take the learning lesson out of the situation. So you might pass, you might fail. The most important thing is the learning lesson you take and then what you breed into your next pass. So for instance, she didn't cross the road the first time in college because she had to learn and mature. Once she went to the Air Force, she was able to take the mental things that she learned and apply it, then go back and obtain 5 degrees. Sometimes in life, we too hard on ourselves. Sometimes in life, we feel that we should be at a point and we mentally stress ourselves out. We sit here and look at ourselves and down ourselves thinking, if you're a woman, I should be married, I should have kids, I should be doing this, or I should have a house. If you a guy, I should already have a family, I should already be able to provide, I should already be able to take my family. Like, you guys, you got to understand that there's a process to everything. And you're not going to hit a home run at your first at bat at everything in life. So please take your time and learn the lesson in the adversity. You know, like, because I think people miss that bridge, you know, and it's tough. How you feel about that?
You know, it's interesting. It's really a mindset, right? Anyone who knows me is that, hey, if someone says, hey, you can't do it, I'll go quiet, right? I was raised that you don't let your left know what your right's doing and you move in silence, right? And because a lot of times when people have a vision, they tell their vision and people are like, oh, I don't know, but and so what happens is it depletes them, right? Because it's their vision, it's not the other person's. So a lot of times we measure ourselves on what other people think and what other people believe and their expectations of us. That's not the best way to measure yourself, because there's a philosophy that I have. No one's like me, so I can't compare myself to others. You know, you're an expert, Trey. You know what I'm saying? And you're an expert in your own right. And how am I going to compare myself to you? And even if we were family members growing up, the exact same household, we can't compare ourselves to each other. We're all different. And it's not to say that one's better than the other. We're just different. And so, sorry, we have to be able to not put ourselves and put that pressure and that stress on ourselves to have other people's expectations, or to have expectations that other people put on us or we put on ourselves. We need to be okay with that. Where we are.
I love that. Well, that's what my podcast is written off of. Whenever I writ my podcast and I decided to start my brand, it's called Decoding Two Sides of the System, because sometimes in life we have a system of what life tells you should be. And you should pick this job, you should pick this role model and be exactly like them, not realizing that God has made you special your own way. There's things that I might do that you can't do, and you got things that you do that I can't touch, I can't do, because that's not my gift. A lot of times in life, we don't understand why God has blessed us with certain abilities, certain things that we can do. Like, for instance, I know a bunch of people that bake. I don't know a bunch of people that bake better than my mom. I'm just being honest, but that's her gift. You know what I'm saying? She just has a gift. Like, somebody can make a cake and she make a cake. You'd be like, oh my God, this cake is amazing. It's the same cake, but that's just her gift. And what my brand entails is, it's a system of that. Take the things that you love, that you embody in people, and try to and put them into yourself to your best knowledge and make it the best you. That's what's going to make you different and separate yourself. Like, be different. Don't try to be like somebody else, because God has already made you special. You know, and I think that sometimes in life, we look at status and we look at followers, we look at likes, and we don't value ourselves within that. You know, it's like, just like I was telling you over the phone, like, you know, no, start your stuff now, because sometimes social media has got us tricked into numbers. Like, you might be somebody out there that's posted right now. You have 100 people that's looking at your content. You take 100 people and you put them in a room. Think about how many people that is. Think about how many people 50 people is. But we've been so triggered to this social media mentality to where we think, oh my God, 100 people, 50 people watching my stuff, oh, I need to quit. No, you have 50 people lives that you can change. Please don't take that stuff for granted, and don't take yourself for granted for who you are, and what you can provide in somebody's life.
You know, a lot of times people measure their success on that, right? Social media has become, and I'm cautiously saying this, right? A blessing and a curse, right? Because a lot of people, if they don't see you on social media, they'll say, you're not as professional, or you're not as popular. And when you could have been doing this for 20 some years. Like I run a discreet service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like being discreet, and you did. You were just like, hey, you need to get out there. People need to hear and see what
For
you're
sure.
saying. But people have to understand also being out here, we go back to mental health, just circling back. There's people who are suffering in silence. They could be smiling every day
Every
on this
day, every
platform
day.
and
Yeah.
suffering.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of
Mhm.
social media influencers that have committed suicide,
Yep.
that are unhappy, just because people appear to be happy and appear to have it together, and they're living to all these expectations and the meanness. I call it incivility that happens on social media and in our world now. And a lot of mental health and a lot of issues come from this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff that go through things. Like I recently this past year hit my stride on social media, I would say, to where like I went from nobody really knowing my podcast really to it being low to like fume. Like, you go from like literally within 2 years ago, I was probably at like 100 or 180 subscribers. Last year around this time, probably around like 15, 16,000. Now I'm at 61,000. All grace to God. But people don't understand that it's a mental journey that I still go through to this day. And it's not easy to get up here and talk mental health, talk my trauma, to be able to connect with y'all. Even just behind the scenes, learning content, having to post, having to be mentally, like, people don't really understand
Mhm.
what it takes until you get into it. Like shooting content, being mentally right for content, having a great, and then also being right in your life is sort of things that I'm struggling with. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you find yourself letting down the people that you love because you're chasing your dreams on this. So sometimes you lose relationships alter. You find that people didn't really believe in you. Then they U-turn like, oh, I see you now. And it kind of, it clouds your judgment with them. Then you have
Right.
people that's judging you because they feel like you got so much and that you're not offering them opportunities, or you're
Yeah.
not, you know what I'm saying, with them not even respecting what you have. Like, no, this is not a family podcast. I really want to connect with people that's doing stuff in the field to give. This is not no friendly. You're not coming on here because you're my friend. You know what I'm saying? And people don't get
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a journey, and I definitely can applaud what you're saying. Like a lot of people suffer in silence, for real. It's a
Yeah.
real thing. It's a real thing. I want to
Uh,
know. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you?
no, go ahead. No, I'm listening. Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, no, I want to know. You said you're in the Air Force. What are three things or three lessons that you learned in the Air Force that help you propel into your life once you got out? If you had to pick your top three.
You know, the one thing that the Air Force confirmed for me is who I was, because that mirror shows up really fast when you are under pressure, right? And
Ooh,
so the one thing I've known about myself is that I was a leader, right? And it will force you to look in that mirror. So you say you're a leader, let's go. And so you have to lead, and you have to lead with excellence. The one thing I'll say about the Air Force is that growing up in a disciplined home, our home was pretty disciplined. It was time was everything. It was structured. I grew up in a structured home, so it was an easier process going being in the Air Force, right? But it made me look at myself. Also, my immaturity. I was
mm,
very immature. I have to admit, I'm the baby of my family, almost the youngest of my entire family, right? And
right.
so,
I'm the baby too. That's crazy.
and even through cousins, I got one cousin
Yeah.
under me, and so she lived in Texas. But just looking back, the immaturity and um, you have to have tough skin, because when they're in your face yelling, or uh, you can't take it personal.
Right.
And it wasn't a humiliating thing. It was to teach you to be mentally, looking back, mentally fit, mentally tough. But growing up in Louisiana, back to Louisiana, you can't survive in your household if you're not mentally tough,
Yeah.
because our culture is pretty direct. There's
Very
no way
true.
around it.
For
So
sure.
just the Air Force reminded me of things, and it made me look at myself again in the mirror, and the things that I was lacking, and the things that, so the three things that I said was the discipline, right, that I grew up with, the
Mhm.
immaturity, and then that I was a natural born leader. So those things.
Mm. I love that. I love how you said when you look in the mirror, you gotta look at the things that's imperfect, the things the flaws. I think in today's time with mental health being so, everybody looks in the mirror and they want to see where they shine. Oh, I look good here, and you paint a picture of yourself mentally, and then you walk out the door like I'm this. But the real work comes whenever you can look in the mirror and say, "Dang, I'm wrong." And you can admit to those wrongs, and you can start a plan or a process to get better. And what I try to preach to people that I speak to and people that ask me for advice, I tell them all the time, it's not about you fixing everything in one. It's about, can you construct a plan to start your process? Right. Everybody wants to fix something. That's cool. Yes. But if you don't have a process that you can lean on that fits you, how can you consistently fit? Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're trying to start something with skipping the whole steps, and you've never done it because it's your unknown. So when you look in that mirror, sometimes guys in life who I'm speaking to, just guys, women, everybody, don't look in the mirror and say what I'm cute at, what I'm not. Look in the mirror and see what you got to work on and start your process. Yeah, I like that. I like that saying that you said, for sure. I like that saying that you said. I want to pivot. So speaking at conferences, man, I love that you do that. First off, with helping people, that's something that I definitely on my vision board. I literally got it on the other side of the room, like that. I definitely wanted to get into it within my journey with this, just speaking and helping. But what made you get into speaking and wanting to shine light and help people?
Oh, wow. It's interesting. I can reflect now because I had someone help me to see this. At first I didn't. Mm-hmm. But I was consulting with a oil and gas company. They had brought me in, and I remember I was the first one of the first people there. So it's six in the morning, and I had someone tell me that they thanked me for doing something. And they said, "You are naturally a coach and good at speaking." But what that did was it brought me back to thinking about my first speaking engagement was I was in the second grade. And I remember being, excited to do it, right? And everybody knew I was that person that, hey, get me, I'm get up there. I was never shy. That's never been my thing. Right. Didn't want to be the center of attention, but I was never shy. But I decided at that point, you know what? I have a lot to give. So I started speaking at conferences. Actually, my first one, I was in grad school, and I spoke at it was a multicultural conference that I spoke to here in Houston. That's where I live now, here in the Houston area. And I remember saying, you know what? I got a lot of good feedback, and it was fun, right? It was fun. And so in corporate America, I was speaking. I took those roles and started doing presentations for churches and conferences. But one of the things that I'll say is that I love giving back, and I love educating people. I taught at 2 universities, so it was a natural thing for me to get up and educate, because I feel like one of the biggest things that people miss out on is because they're not educated. Information is key. Information is golden when you look back. And so just looking back at now globally, I would say one of the best things that I could have done is speaking at a conference. They asked me to be the keynote. First time I was a keynote in South Africa. Yeah. For employee assistance conference. And I remember being in Cape Town, and, I sort of manifested it because I was sitting there and I was talking to the guy, and he was saying, I want you to come to Nairobi, Kenya to speak at the conference. And I said, oh, it sure would be great to be their keynote. And he said, you know what, why don't you come to Cape Town? And I said, hey, here I am. And so just through those, I started speaking globally, and I spoke at a couple of other places throughout Africa and other countries as well, and Europe, all over. And oil and gas company had me do a global, and it was the southern and eastern hemisphere. So I've spoken all over, and I just think that giving information is so important, and helping save lives, I think, is even more important, because during COVID, I spoke about it's okay to not be okay.
That speaks a million words. I promise you, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And man, so much to unpack because, like I said, that's something that that's one of my vision boards or whatever, and I love that. But like hearing you speak, like you speak so highly, like your energy and your vibe on helping people. It just seemed like it's like a natural flow. And I want people to understand that because sometimes people get into things for different reasons. But if your core is not on what you truly love to do, you flame out. It's not about the money. Like, and people don't really understand that because all money is not good money.
Not
It's
at all.
not about the fashion. It's not about posting, looking good and dressing up for something. It's really about the main thing, y'all, is the message. And
Yeah.
in today's time, especially with the younger generation and sometimes the older, we, we lose track on the main thing. And the main thing is going to always and forever be information. Information is going to, regardless of the age you are, going to help you grow. Whether you young, whether you old, information will always help you. And I think in today's time, don't take for granted whenever people are giving you information. For instance, like she said, she was talking in conferences. She's in a room with people. And that's another thing. Who you surround yourself around will change your perimeters of the life you feel that you can live and also the things that you can do. So it's an old saying, but people always say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. But that is a real thing. Do not take that for granted because the information that people are trying to give the younger generation and the youth, you guys think that it's outdated and it's core principles that help you within yourself that make you a better person as you grow older. Like a lot of people in today's time want information that work now, not understanding that information comes into you and grows seeds and then it sprouts out into the person that you become to be, not so much how much as you are. You know, like how you feel about that?
And it's true, because being a speaker, you have to be authentic.
Yeah.
And so, because your message won't be heard and it'll feel real fake, right? And you have to be in it for the right reasons. And 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 actually being around people is how I got. So one thing I didn't mention is one of my greatest moments in speaking was being a commencement speaker. And to see the kids' faces, I did this whole thing on Rise Like a Phoenix. And I remember these are kids. It was actually in Colorado, Denver. And I remember the kids there looking like they were hungry. But one of the biggest things is that speaking is from the heart, right? And it literally is, you have to be authentic and you have to do things like you're doing your podcast, right? I can sit here and look and say, okay, you're pretty authentic. You're passionate about it. I can feel your energy. It feels good. It feels safe. That's the other thing. People have to feel safe, because I have to feel safe to come on this with you, because sometimes when you have a platform, you can make or break people. So the one thing I'll say is, not just about speaking, but even also being on social media. It's important. It's important to have that authenticity, and you have it. And it's a
Thank
wonderful
you so
thing.
much.
It's a wonderful
So
thing.
much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's one thing that I was having this. I shot a podcast yesterday. Shout out to the Panama Experience on Instagram. Y'all go follow him. That episode will be out soon. This is somebody who he used to live in the USA. He's a world traveler. He moved and he just give tips on people that's retiring, like there's a better life outside of the US too that you can live. But we were literally having this conversation and I was telling them that, and this is just to my subscribers, I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. like whenever I hit my stride and I got over 30 to 35,000, like I had tears in my eyes waking up. I remember vividly at like 35,000, and I wasn't crying because I hit the goal of 35,000. I was crying because those days, and y'all can go look at the episodes when I had 30 views, 40 views, and nothing was spinning. There were so many people in my ear telling me that I need to change, telling me that I need to start talking about what's going on in celebrity lives, and kind of just, kind of downing people like what I'm doing doesn't matter. And when God blessed me with that opportunity, and I knowing that I crossed the threshold with being authentic and also connecting with people genuinely and just being myself, not selling out for views and things like that. That moment, it just hit me. I remember that day, like vividly. I can tell you the whole day. And I think a lot of times in life, you have people they're bending their ways, thinking that these views and thinking that this money and that this personality, and just you're losing yourself into something that you don't want to be. Waking up trying to be something that you're not is one of the hardest things in the world. It's so much pressure that goes into it because you're not yourself. You're literally a character. To where you can lose your, and that's what's happening a bunch of times with these young kids. You sitting there, you're listening to this music, and you're listening to these rappers, not understanding this is entertainment. They're in it to make music entertainment, and you're falling into a character, and then you go do something stupid, and your seconds cost you a lifetime. I tell young kids all the time that's in these in poverty and things like that I grew up in, hey, don't let your seconds cost you your lifetime. Like, don't let a second of you making a decision cost a lifetime of memories lost with your family, with your loved ones. It's not worth it. It's truly, truly not worth it. And you saying that, I'm so sorry. That sparked up a bunch of just emotions.
No.
I'm so grateful that you were able to see that, and I'm just grateful that I did not have to lose myself into being something that I'm not. So thank you so much for those words, for real.
Yes. Yeah. It's scary when you have to continue to put a fake face on every day. And that's why so many people struggle in silence. A lot of these social media influencers are struggling. I see it. I see it in their eyes. I see it in the content. They're struggling.
Yeah, men out there too. It's a lot of men that suffer in silence. A lot of men that don't understand that vulnerability is your best ability because it helps you grow. And to the men out there, to the people that's going out there killing themselves at the gym, the men out there that doesn't want to talk to their partners, that's scared to open up, mental health is so important, and you have to have somebody to talk to guide you. There's so much pressures that's being thrown on men, especially black men these days with all these podcasts, what a man should provide, this thing and that, and it's putting so much pressure on men culture to where men don't talk about it, but it's definitely conversations that's happening. Like, man, like I'm working this hard and people think this, women think this, and it's causing a divide within people because you don't want to have a conversation with your partner and you're secretly resenting. So please, if you out there, have the conversation, y'all. Like I said, your best ability is vulnerability because it's going to help you grow.
Yes.
Yes. I want to pivot. I got this to talk to you about. Okay, so you work with athletes, right? Of the highest high. So I kind of want to get into that. What was your pivot for that? Like that wanted you to get in that space to be able to help athletes?
It's always been a passion, right? I was an athlete at heart. I wasn't that one that was like fastest, right? I wasn't the fastest.
Yeah.
I played softball and ran track, but I wasn't like, the girl. But at the end of the day, I love sports, right? My mama actually loves sports too. And just had this natural inclination when I saw friends and family that were athletes, and you're looking after the lights go off. It's quite depressing to see that light, that energy, all that hard work, because most athletes start very young. It's not any different from when I was growing up. They start young. And when you see the light go out, because see, when the lights are off, all of the fans and all of the groupies and all of the posse is gone. And so they're left alone. And I saw that light go out of their eyes. And for me, it was hurtful. And so I pivoted in 2000 and got my first professional athlete. I always, When I was in grad school in the late 90s, I knew that I wanted to work with athletes, but it was sports psychology, but I'm a therapist, right? I'm a counselor. So I didn't want to just keep looking at the diagnosis and something's wrong. I was like, there has to be something else, right? And so I'm licensed as a mental health professional. So I pivoted and I started working part time with athletes, but I did want to do therapy because not everybody needs to be diagnosed. So
Right.
I started creating my own stuff, and that's where mental fitness came in. And so preparing them and doing prevention is more important than anything. And so I want to prevent the problems. I want to help them to grow, or to help keep the mind in the game. A lot of athletes get hurt, they get injured. That's another big thing. Not just, and then the pressure. You go from being able to walk down the street, some of the top athletes, to now everybody wants something from you. Everybody recognizes you. You can't just have a solemn moment, peace. And so it's just so many things they go through, and I feel like I needed to help them. That was my pivot into athletes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's something that I definitely want to get into futuristic wise, working with athletes, because I've been an athlete my whole life. I played all sports, and then I just fell in love with basketball. But I want to ask you, or I kind of want to talk about it because you said sometimes a lot of athletes lose their identity and their fire. And I wrote it down. It says the athlete identity. Who are you without the sport?
Mm.
And this is one of, before you go, I just want to tap in just my 2 cents about that. Whenever I was an athlete, I noticed that I'm like, I've always been a kid to where I notice my surroundings. So, like, I've always paid attention to things. So I would see people who's athletes, and then I would see them like, okay, did this person go to college? Was he good enough? And then I would see them come back, and I would see them be attached to something that's gone in the wind, but they can't let it go because that's their identity. And I noticed that as a kid, like, and I was like, this is like, I'm talking about like middle school. I was like paying attention, like, oh my God, like this person still thinks like he's a basketball player, and he doesn't let it go. And then it starts to impact you in life because you feel a certain type of way. Now you're spending time working on this, and that's gone. So you gotta kind of do this. And then I seen people lose themselves into that to where they mentally, like, it impacts their whole life because their family. Oh, this is the boy that's gonna go to the NBA. This is my little athlete.
Right.
This is, and I seen their identity just slowly creep away. And it got to the point to where these people wasn't realizing that life was going on. They're sitting there trying to do the same thing that they've been doing, and they're missing out on life, missing out on opportunities. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that because I noticed that my family was rapping me as an athlete. And they were saying, oh, this is Trey, the basketball player, da da da. And I always stayed in the gym. I worked on my craft very seriously. But I always had in my mind, I'm not just an athlete. Like, I know I'm smarter. I can do other things. And my people, even my friends, always, Trey the hooper. That's all he want to do is hoop. They didn't understand, Trey be studying. Trey is very smart. He's intelligent. He looking at all these different things. So I want you to talk about that because there's so many people in today's time that still wrapped around this identity and they can't let it go. Like, talk to me about that, please, or talk to the people. I want them to get that knowledge.
So it's so interesting, Trey, because societal pressure is huge, right? So society says you can be fast, and automatically they say, "Oh my God, you're gonna be the best football player. You have a little height on you. You're gonna be." And so I think that what we have to do is help to not just identify someone as an athlete. There's nothing wrong with being just an athlete, but what about life after you're an athlete? Because only a small percentage make it to the pros, right? So what do you do, to stay? Because some people need to stay in that field. They're good at it and they want to give back. So preparation is everything. So instead of saying, okay, you're just an athlete, that's where the problem is. Sometimes people look at an athlete and they'll say, oh, you're just an athlete. What's just an athlete? I'm more than that, right? I'm playing this sport. I'm very good at it, right? Some people, it's a career. It's a career, but you still have to transition out of career. It's no different than the military. You can be, it's like you're at the top of your game. And so mentally, people are constantly praising you for your athletic ability.
Right.
They may not know you have more than that. You have preparations for more than that. You have preparation for transition. But most, think about if you're a little kid and they say, okay, you're a football player, you're a basketball player, right? Or baseball player, your whole life. And they never say, okay, after basketball, baseball, football, track, what are you doing next? What are you doing next? Most people don't talk to athletes that way. And so they are not able to transition from that high. There's a huge high when you're on a team and you're a part of something big and people are constantly praising you, praising you, praising you. And then when you're no longer playing, that praise goes away.
Right.
So psychologically and emotionally, it affects you in a way that can cause that depression and anxiety and actually being lost because your identity is built in that because society has given it to you and you believe it. You believe that this is what I need to do. And then the pressure of the families that you make, they consider being a professional athlete making it because you're going to help the whole family. So that pressure of what if I let them down? What if I don't? You get injured, that stress, that pressure. And so it's so many factors that go into why athletes struggle. It's the pressure that's put on them by society, themselves, their girlfriends, their family, their spouses, their boyfriends. It's a lot of pressure and it doesn't let up. And then, those lights, everybody talks about the Texas lights. Have you experienced it?
Well, no, I'm not sure what you mean. What you mean, Texas?
They talk about that with football. Football is a huge thing in the
Oh
state.
yeah, for sure, yeah. The Texas
Huge.
like the Friday night lights, or what you saying? Like yeah, like
Friday
the
Night
performance.
Lights,
Yeah, to perform under them,
farming,
like yeah,
and there's a reputation with Texas track. All of that. And it's a lot of pressure.
yeah,
And so for me, going back to what you asked about just the whole identity and being able to transition, it's all a mindset and it's preparation. I will say this: other cultures prepare a lot better than African Americans, blacks.
yeah, for
They
sure.
prepare a lot better, and they have someone like me, someone doing mental fitness with them. I've had a lot of times where parents are just like, "What's wrong with my kid?" Like if one of if I get a referral from someone, there's nothing wrong with my kid. Why do they need to see you? It's a misunderstanding that there has to be something wrong if I'm involved. That's not the case. Other cultures, I've had other athletes and children of athletes who are now adults, doctors, and athletes themselves say if my parent or if we had somebody like you in our lives, it would be different. But the counterparts, he remembered that one of his white friends who was on the same team as their father had somebody like me, and their life was different. It was prepared different. It was preparation. So I think if you prepare athletes, I think it could be a wonderful thing because they're mentally prepared to deal with anything, deal with an injury, deal with a cut, and deal with being and thriving as an athlete because there's always life after sports.
Yeah,
I hope I
yeah,
wasn't long winded on that. I'm just passionate about that part.
for sure. Me as well, and I'm very passionate about that because I feel like there's the top tier level athletes, and then there's another tier of people who just really love the game, and they never get the opportunities to play at these levels. But the mental aspect is they're attached to something without a plan of if this doesn't work, I need to pivot here. And sometimes when you're overlooked and you self-doubted and you don't get the recognitions you want to get from these big schools, like I think a lot of people lose sight of these people. And these people are people that play in leagues all around the world and things like that. And then sometimes they don't have the people that's around them that's keeping it real with them. Like, look, bro, I love you. This is good. But bro, you need to like you listen, you have a life to live. You got a girl, you got a fan. Like, bro, this is cool. This is a hobby now. You need to transition out of this. And I think that, especially with athletes, there's so much pressure. I was listening to this quote this morning when I was preparing for this podcast. It said, it takes extreme pressure to make a diamond. And not only does it take extreme pressure, what makes a diamond is the cuts. Whenever you're an athlete at the top level, that pressure, that extreme heat to make a diamond, you're going to go through that whether you're doing good, whether you're doing bad.
Right.
And you're going to have adversity no matter if it's good or bad, because it's the adversity of the win or the adversity of the loss. But those cuts that you have, that is what makes you that diamond. Those trials and tribulations of what you had to overcome, the adversity to get your goal, to get where you are at in life, to get to the top of your game, to be able to make, like, people don't even understand. It's not about winning at the top of your game. It's about maintaining that position. If you're able to get there, that's a win. And sometimes we look at the goal of, oh, I failed, or oh, I did this, and now I'm not that person. It's like, no, you are able to maintain this play. That's a win alone. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't get that opportunity. So, with athletes and just young athletes, when I go speak to kids at camps, I always tell them that, pressure is something that you got to learn how to make it your friend. You got to learn how to be able to handle, because you got expectations from coaches. A bunch of these kids with these NIL deals, they don't understand. An NIL deal to me is testing you to see how much do you really want it. Because no matter what you get, they're only spoon feeding you an appetizer. The real main course meal is at that next level where you want to go. So yeah, you might be paid, you might can get everything you want. That is an appetizer from God saying, okay, hey, you've worked hard, so I'm going to give you this. But the real test is, can you still have that and be able to perform and get to what you ultimately want, which is that main course meal. And a lot of kids are losing that focus on that road to that mental health, because it's like, dang, oh, I got all this, I got this. You making more than your coach. Now you're not listening to somebody that's more experienced that's helping you get to that main course meal. How you feel about that?
I have a saying, and it's a quote that I use. I created. Everyone trains their body, and few train their mind. And so at the end of the day, everyone trains their body, right? But that name and likeness, right? NIL. Everybody's stuck on, okay, they're getting money for the NIL. What's missing from that NIL is it is called name in likeness. It's your reputation. So you're getting that money because you're a good athlete. But there's more to being a good athlete. There's character. If your character is flawed, that money's gone. I've seen cars got, G-Wagons, and look, in the behavior. It's your name and likeness. So your name will be tied to that behavior, hence tied to that company. So the preparation to be an athlete is more than just performing physically. It's mentally, and like you said, that name and likeness, kids are getting all this money. These athletes, right?
Yep.
You're an athlete, but you also are Trey, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, Trey, what's your reputation? Trey, what charity do you do? Who do you represent, Trey? It's a liability when you can't respect your name. And I think what's missed from some of the athletes and some of the training and the mindset is you are your brand. People want to partner with you because you're a good athlete, but your brand needs to speak louder. Because nowadays you can't, even if you make it or they're about to choose you professionally, if your behavior and your reputation, you won't make the cut.
Yeah.
They're not going to draft you. They may put you on, you could walk on. I mean, I hate to say walk on, but you can be a free agent. But you won't make the money that you're supposed to make because your behavior doesn't align up as an athlete. And so remember, the one thing I'll leave, and I don't know if I answered your question effectively, but
oh no, you definitely did.
Name in likeness, your reputation, and growing up for me, your word is bond, your name is everything. So who you hang around, you become. Who you are will show your value eventually. So those people that's trusting in you, that wants you to represent them, is because they see your potential. But do you see your potential and do you know who you are? And that's why it is you have to train your mindset.
Train your mindset speaks a million words. And also, too, last thing on this NIL thing, understand that even these coaches that's recruiting these kids out there and you getting this money, understand that they have a family as well. So whenever
That's
you
right.
get this money, you buying these G-Wags and you not focused on what's going on the field and y'all losing games, know that that money is something that you better invest it in because you're not going to get it again. And you got to understand that, just like she said, name, image, likeness, and your brand and the business, if you go at a school, all these schools might be competing, but they all have relationships with each other. If somebody is investing money in you and you are playing around with that money and you think you gonna go get another opportunity to go grab another bag, we see it all the thing that get lost in NIL is not understanding that these coaches are not playing with these kids. You can't just look at the kid. I'm not sure if you know the story of the kid that was at Tennessee, the quarterback that was at Tennessee. They offered him like $4 million or something.
Oh,
He tried
yeah.
to hold out, yeah, and then now he's playing for 1.5. You're not going to be able to disrespect and do things just because you're talented. There's so many kids that's juniors that y'all play with that's playing right now. There's a whole swarm of kids. It's literally a system. It's a machine. And they plug and play. If you don't do what you need to do, you will be plugged out and somebody else will play in your spot. So please know that. Please take advantage of your opportunities. Please.
And it's character and trait. That's why I referenced it, and that's why I call it name, image, name in likeness. I didn't say name, image, likeness. I like to say name in likeness because it is like you have to know that that's your reputation. And so I just wanted to circle back on that and know that character is worth more value than people realize, because it's too much of a risk that you would risk your teammates and you would risk all for money. Do you also see, I want to give a shout out to this. Do you also see a high school athlete? I can't remember the school, but he turned down the money. He turned down $1 million to stay at the school he was at.
Oh, I did. I seen that.
For loyalty. For loyalty.
Yeah.
And I thought that was amazing. And so his name and likeness, and I keep saying that because I'm making a point, and I want them to hear what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
His character spoke loyalty.
I loved it. And in today's time, a lot of people value what you have instead of who you are. I'll say that again. A bunch of people value what you have instead of who you are. People think that if you're a multi-millionaire, you are the person that is a great person, do everything or whatever. And that's just what you have. And the real thing is on who you are. We see people with money, like you said, these social media people that's killing themselves. We see celebrity kids killing themselves. We see celebrities taking their own life. And it's not about what you have. It's about who you are. That's when you don't work out the process and what makes you happy. That's when you don't find your happiness outside of money, outside of nice things. And when those things are taken away temporarily, you lose yourself in a whirlwind of emotions to where you don't know how to control yourself, which cause you to do that. And I want people to understand that just because you might be on your journey and you don't have what you want to have with your following, with your views, with your message, with you being able to connect with people, that's not who you are. Like, I've never spoke on a conference. I've spoken to people privately and stuff, and I've helped a bunch of people in my life. But that doesn't change who I am in my core and how I feel and what I'm working towards. And people got to understand that before you get to a point, you got to mentally work yourself to be there. Like, for instance, I know anytime an opportunity comes to me, I'm ready because I'm preparing myself every day. Like, this interview with you, how it's flowing so good and everything, this is something that I prepared for years ago. it might look good or how we flowing in the conversation, but no, I prepare.
Right.
You know, like it's the preparation, y'all, that makes you shine bright. It's not about this illusion and this acting of who you are and all these things, because if an opportunity is like placed in your face and you don't have a preparation to maintain, you flame out.
That's right.
So yeah, man, please take that into account, guys, because it's very important. And I want to talk to you about what was the process of getting help through therapy and the counseling in the sports world. And I said that wrong, but the importance of therapy and counseling in the sports world, because now it's in the NBA, it's in the NFL, it's in the MLB, it's in boxing, it's in all these things that we love. So talk to me about the importance of mental health in the sports world.
Mental health. I'll speak to mental health and mental fitness. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, mental fitness too. It's all in one. Yes, please.
The reason I want to speak to both of them is because mental health comes, with the diagnosis, and people are struggling in that chemical imbalance, and we've allowed things that we can't control anymore, or things that in life that have affected us, to affect our mental health. And I think it's come because we've had too many losses, too many injuries. We've had too many behavioral issues, addiction. Addiction is also one of the things that's not talked about much in the industry. People suffer. Marijuana is truly the gateway, right? A lot of young people, a lot of athletes, they'll smoke, right? But now there's a difference. They're lacing it. So you're getting some mental health issues, right? And you're getting also from family violence. I'm cautious with this word. I don't like using it much because there's a new thing that's come from it. But family trauma, family dysfunction has caused a lot of mental health issues under pressure because the coping skills are not there to deal with everyday issues. So mental health a lot of times comes from lack of coping, and it comes from chemical imbalance. And so if we do mental fitness and mental preparation, it can eliminate or it can reduce those things that's happening. But the reason that teams had to put it in is because it started affecting their bottom line. You have a wonderful athlete, but at times those things start to creep in. The domestic violence creeps in, the anger creeps in, the anxiety, and then even the depression. And so this is Dr. Q, my own personal take on this, but injuries come from your head not being in the game. Injuries come from you not being present at that moment. You may have had a disagreement with your spouse. You may have had an issue with your parents. You may have just had some other issue, medical issue, anything that just happened to you. Could have stayed out all night. You could have partied too much. You had that injury, right? That distraction caused that injury. And so I think that you have to be able to help your players, not just physically, but you need to be able to help your players mentally. But one group that is not seen as having mental health issues are the coaches.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Nobody really talks about coaches for sure.
The coaches struggle. You have to think about it. They're away from their own kids, and I know you'll talk. There's a silent, silent but not silent. Coaches' kids are ignored, right? The coaches' kids feel like they're left out because they're giving so much to everybody else's kid. Pressure of being away from their families, the pressure of being on the road all the time. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Where's their outlet? So there is a silent community of coaches, whether you are high school, college, or professional, that are suffering. They're suffering at a rate that's much higher than we believe. And so that is a group also that I work with because they're not seen as being okay to have mental health problems. Or to not be well.
That's just crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do a pod on that because so many things sparked up when you said coaches. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I could do a pod just on that alone. A lot of coaches go through a lot of things too because their job is consistently on the line, and they got to provide for the people that they barely seeing. So yes, yes, yes. Dang, I love
And
that. I love that.
yeah, it's so many things that go into it. But mental health, our society says right now, hey, it's becoming more acceptable to get the help. It doesn't matter what culture you're in, even though minority culture struggle more, but it's becoming now front and center. They have to tackle it. It's too many problems,
Yeah.
too many issues that are coming up because of it.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in a mental health household at all. My family was very, very behind on mental health still, I feel like. And just knowing that, and whenever I finally did start to get the work, like I started getting in, I got into mental health truly after my aunt passed. That was like the first time that I had someone that was close to me that passed. And mentally, I was messed up. And shout out to my homeboy DJ. He was already going to school for psychology and stuff, and he was like, "Bro, you need to get into mental health. Like, bro, you always speaking. You're a natural leader. Like, bro, you really need to get into it." And I fell in love with mental health, and you know, grief is something that everybody go through, and whenever I went through mine, I still remember like it was yesterday. My little brother called me, and literally like that phone call, I swear it. I could just hear his voice, and I knew something was wrong. And whenever he told me, it just didn't register. And grief is something that when you go through it, there's no answer to when it's gonna feel good because it never feels good. But
Right.
you gotta learn how to deal with the pain, And I kind of want to, shift talk to you about losing your husband and just the grief on that, and
Mhm.
the trials and tribulations that you went through and the tools that you use to get through. Because there's a lot of people that losing people on this thing. Like I said, I've lost people, and that's what prompted me into my mental health journey. And to you guys out there, women, whoever, kids is watching, I want to let y'all know that if you are going through that, it's okay to not be okay. Because people call you and they try to up you, and these people are constantly checking on you. And sometimes it's okay to just let it out. It's okay to be down. It's okay to just have a day to where it's just I'm hurting because sometimes we try to be so strong and manage emotions to where we drain ourselves out. Like you're draining yourself out trying to bump yourself up and trying to put on this facade instead of just letting it run its course. And
Right.
my advice would be sometimes it's okay to not be okay. But I want to get your perspective on you losing a partner, a husband, and shine light and help some of these people out there that's going through grief.
Ooh, it's interesting. That is a story, right? I got married later. I waited, to get married. I was like, I'm gonna wait for the right person to come. And it got here. We were married, and interesting story is that I did all my research during my master's and my doctorate on grief, loss, injury, death and dying. That's my specialty, right? Death and loss. So
Mm.
I'm like, hey, everybody called me. I sat on one of the largest hospices here in Houston board for about 8 years, and I was that person. So 2015, my husband and I showed up to what was a CAT scan. They said there's nothing we could do. You have severe cerebral atrophy and severe brain calcification. And I remember they was like, "There's nothing you could do. Nothing we could do." It was 2 years later he died, and he had CTE, just from brain injuries and those things. And I remember being like a bit numb because he died in 2016. My aunt, who is my confidant, oh God, my entire life died that May. So I couldn't really grieve her because my husband was dying. I knew it. And then my other aunt here in Houston, that one was in Louisiana. But the one here in Houston we went to church, we spent all this time. She died.
Mm.
And then the hurricane came through 2017, a month
Wow.
after she died. We buried in that time frame. And then he dies that October. We had to evacuate. He was on hospice. And he dies that October. And I was like, okay, all right. And in that midst of all that, I lost a lot of people. They didn't understand, right? Then I'm running a facility and we lost a patient. And I was like, you know what? I need to work for myself full time. And when we lost that patient, it just triggered everything. And then I lost my godson, and a week later I lost my mother, and a week later, 6 weeks later, I lost who I consider was my father. So that was woo.
God.
It was
Boy, my heart is beating for you. My God.
oh,
Woo.
it was complex, complicated grief that I had studied all these years to be like, is this really happening? So at that point, I became someone else. Life changes. Life will take you. People will walk away because they don't understand you. And to this day, I still have people in my life that doesn't understand how I came out of that as a different person. I'm not the same person. I'm not. And I get emotional talking about it, not out of sadness, but just out of I'm a real authentic person. And it's hurtful to see people that you love don't understand grief. It's complex, and it's a lot. And I'm not afraid to cry in front of people because it's a real emotion. I believe that if you have an emotion, you feel it. I'm real, I'm authentic. Anybody who knows me, I will never be fake. So it's real. It's real. And I teach people feel your emotion, go through it, and then heal. You know, emotions are meant to be felt, they're meant to be discussed if you can. Um, and I'm feeling it, but I really believe that when you're told not to feel something, and when you're told not to experience that grief, is when you have mental health issues. The reason I overcame this and I was able to work through it is because every emotion I had, I felt it. When people said to me, you need to be over it, they actually use those words. And when people say to people, um, you they're in a better place, or God told me, or God said, or this, you have to be careful what you say to people. And I believe that when you start telling people, so what I do is I don't allow people to tell me how I feel. I correct them. When people say you're depressed, no, I'm not. I'm sad. When people say you need to go see somebody because I believe you're depressed. I talk to a therapist. I have friends that are therapists, but I went to someone that's not my friend to help me through this grief. But I was grieving, and it's okay to grieve. It's okay to grieve. 10 years. It's
Right,
been my,
yeah, yeah.
it's okay to grieve, right? Because let
Mm.
me tell you, my stuff is real. And when you lose a spouse, and the other piece of it is not having children, it's a emptiness of losing your mother. And people can say what they want, and they could say it's a feeling that you cannot. And people who've lost their mother, they know that feeling. It's an emptiness that because you are a part of them, and when you lose that part of yourself, because there's a transference there in having a child. And so I know I'm long-winded on this grief, but grief is something that is huge to me, and emotions are huge to me. We do not feel what we're supposed to feel. When you have an emotion, feel it. Do not let someone tell you, don't feel that emotion, and do not let somebody put a label on you because you are sad, angry, happy, joyful. Grief is a cycle, and I'm okay to go through it. But I have better days and I have bad days, so I'm grateful. And I know I was long winded on that, Trey.
No, 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 no. You listen, no, no, no. Never that. Never on the platform. Never on this
Yeah.
platform. I don't ever want you to feel like you
Didn't
being
expect to
something.
get this emotional.
Oh no, no, no. You good. I appreciate the just the authenticity. I can't even talk right now. You got me emotional.
Authenticity. I got you.
Yeah,
I got
yeah, nah, but yeah, yeah. Thank you so
you.
much. Picking me up when I'm
Yeah.
down. Nah, man, that was beautifully well said, and you spoke so many different things to light. And I'm so glad that you were just so open and authentic because that is truly going to help a bunch of people
Yes.
whenever this comes out. So I truly, truly appreciate you. And also, too, this is a note to everybody, and I literally, I've been going through like a whole bunch of things just off camera too. And I've been telling myself, Trey, if you took your problems down and you threw them on the table and somebody else threw their problems down, you would pick yours right back up, because you never know what people are going through. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying? And also too, you never know who you gonna be when you come out of it. Like you said, I'm not that person no more. And that's okay, and that's a hurtful feeling, and whatever emotions it is, but for you to understand that and accept
Right.
it is the answer for
That's,
you to grow. You know what I'm saying? And I
that's
think
right.
a bunch of people don't understand that when you go through things, when you go through loss, when you go through grieving, when you go through these whole bunch of things, you might come out a different person, and it's okay. Because you got to be able to accept that you can't keep putting a facade on and lying to yourself, thinking that you're something that you're not anymore.
That's
And
right.
I feel like people drown themselves into that. You know, like literally you drown yourself into something that you're not anymore, and that puts all these different type of pressures and adversities in your life, instead of you just accepting that part of me is over. Cry about it. That's your tears. Cry it all out, because once you get done with that tears, that all what you're putting out, you got to step over the line and say that I'm a new person. So, yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm
you
sorry, I didn't know if
cannot
you had.
go. You cannot go through things and come out the same person, because what lessons did you learn?
Mm,
I learned that life should be lived. I've always lived life to the fullest, but now I really live it. I live it on my own terms.
mm. I love
On
that.
my own terms,
I
right?
love that. I love that.
I had, I was very fortunate to have those people in my life. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't live all that in vain. The lessons that I learned, I had aunts that poured into me like you can't even imagine. And people poured into me. And so to turn around and not honor that, and to not be grateful and gracious. So my tears are not all sad. It's just seeing how people don't understand grief. How can they not? And then another thing I have to take ownership of, I've always been a person to handle my business.
Mm-hmm.
And so people didn't realize I needed help when my husband was dying.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't realize I needed someone to come and help me when I had to bathe him, when I didn't get that break. And so I ask people, and I always do a call to action in anything that I do.
Yeah.
Open your mouths and say you need help. Um, Also, I'm going to ask people when they have people who are dealing with people who are terminally ill in their families. Ask them if they need help, or just show up. Just show up. Sometimes just showing up means everything. And so I just want to say that call to action. We talk about grief. We're talking, and I know you guys know there's a lot of athletes that are struggling, boxing, that have that CTE, not just NFL players,
Yeah.
some basketball players, some soccer players. People are suffering with this stuff, and be that support for them. And so I'm going back to the athletes, but I just have to say that be that support for them.
Be there support for them. Oh, I got three more things for you. I'm so sorry
Okay.
that I'll let you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay.
But yeah. We're right in time. I'm just making sure you don't have nothing on your end.
Yeah.
This is my message to you. I
Uh-huh.
wrote this. Don't be afraid to shine your light. God has blessed you with the gift, and you deserve everything. And what that means in more detail is you have a light to help people from a different perspective. So don't let the opinions of others who don't even, she doing this because you done did this, and these people are a part of the process that God has put in your life for even you to help them. Because one thing about a hater is they know more about you than your supporters. They do more research to hate than they will ever do to support. So I
It's
want you, yeah, I want you to whenever you do take your leap of faith or your journey on this social media thing, know that the road that you on is for you. So whenever you're talking about the people that you help or you're doing these things, you're never talking at a level that you're above anybody. Your heart, your authentic. I cannot get that word right now, but
okay.
yeah, no, like because there's times whenever you're good-hearted, and what I had to learn about myself, and when you're really genuine and you're just an authentic person, sometimes you don't want to be in a light to where it shows you that you popping it, or you bragging, or you're doing things that you don't really respect. But understanding that when God puts a light on you that's so big, it can be perceived like that to the people. As long as you're in line with your purpose, you're doing the right thing for yourself. So whatever somebody got to say, that's just talk. That's not fact. That's just an opinion. So I truly, my message to you is, please don't let these people that sit there and wish that they can do half, walk one day in your shoes, have one experience that you've done 30 times, impact you for helping these people that really need it. And you are needed. Your voice, you are needed in this space. You are needed in this social media space. And like I said, the numbers, whether it's 10 to 50 people, that's 50 lives. That's a generation that you're able to touch and change. Please do not take that for granted. That's a message that I wrote for you. So, yeah.
Thank you, Trey.
love. And I got one for you too. This is the last one. And I wrote this out. This is a question that I ask people, and this is a very detailed question. So I want you to really answer, and I think you're gonna like it. Okay. What does your love look like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? And what does it smell like?
Okay, my love.
Your love.
I love love, right? And that's the one thing everybody know about me. I love people. I love love, right? I love love.
Talk to me.
So I have to say this. What does it look like?
What does it look like? Like, what does it look like? It can be anything.
I'm going to use something I use when I work with a couple, right?
Okay.
Love is a gift, right? It's a gift, and it should not be taken for granted. So I have to go through this journey with you so you can see it, right?
Go ahead.
It's not a possession, right? Love is not a possession. So you have to love what you love without limits, right? And despite. So when they're ugly, when they're mean, when they reject you, when they accept you, you still have to love them. Love is unconditional, right? Love is authentic.
I love
right?
that. Love that.
Love smells like, I don't want to sound cliche. I don't even know why I'm saying it, like a juniper breeze. I have no clue why that even came to me, right? Okay. I have to say like a juniper breeze, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking about a friend that's always talking like these old men or old women that have this saying, right? So they can slide off their tongue, right?
Yeah.
Right? But it tastes, God, the taste. My favorite dessert, my only dessert that I really eat is red velvet cake, like Louisiana red velvet cake, right?
Okay.
It tastes like that, right? Like that taste savors and it's slow, right? It's a slow taste and it's still that nice sweetness in the end, right? So that's what it tastes like. What it looks like is when you can, I don't know if you guys can ever, so I'm gonna give you taste and feel at the same, sight and feeling at the same time.
Okay.
If you've ever sat outside and that sun is rising, right? You're sitting by the water, you can hear the water back and forth. And that sun comes up and that sun shines directly in your eyes that you can actually see that crystal that just shines on you and that heat on your face and that cool breeze on that face from the water. That's what my love looks like and feels.
Oh, okay.
Unrelenting. So that's me.
I love that.
Did you say the touch?
No? Yeah, I said, what does it look like? Yeah. I said touch too. I said look, touch, taste, feel, and smell.
Okay, touch, right? You ever, oh God, you ever had some cold hands that
Mm-hmm.
touch your face and just cools you off in that hot sun?
Ooh, okay, okay.
That's
Ooh, I like
like,
that one. I like that
and
one.
that's just a nice cool breeze even in the heat. And so that's my love. It's unconditional. It does not matter. And I don't treat love like a possession. So I don't own you. I'm gonna love you if I don't talk to you, if I never see you again. I'm gonna always love. That's how I love.
Yeah.
Unconditional.
Y'all heard that? That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, that's tough. I love that. I love that. I love that. All right, man. It's the last part of the show. It's called Decoding the Real, and this is where I just give a real moment to the guest that's on my show. And I want to tell you that I know we recently just spoke, and we don't really know each other. Besides, like, because people be thinking I'm lying with chemistry and stuff, but nah, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for everything that you did. Thank you for tapping in with me and giving me a call and just letting you pour into me and just, you give me confidence. And I thank you for going through your trials and tribulations, the things that you don't talk about, those hard and dark days. I truly appreciate that because that's what made you the person that came to light. And I want to thank you so much for even just wanting to come on my platform and bless my subscriber. Like, I truly, truly appreciate you. I want to let you know that I look up to you more than one ways, even though we just met. Because like you are truly somebody that I embody and things that I want to be able to do that I'm working towards. So thank you so much because you're a person that you gave me a vision that I can see it. And I love getting those type of people in my life. Like, oh, I can see that. I can do that too. So
Yes.
thank you so much. Like I said, through your trials, through your tribulations, through you as a person, through everything that you've been through and that you keep going. Thank you for all the jobs that you work and the experience that you got, the knowledge, and just thank you for being you just personally. And I appreciate you for coming on my show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to working with you. Hey, you got me. So hey, whatever I can do for you, I got you.
For sure. Hey, y'all already know. Y'all keep subscribing, keep pushing it up. Whenever she has her YouTube out and stuff, I'm definitely gonna shout her out on the page and stuff. But I'm gonna put her Instagram up on there for y'all. And listen, y'all continue to subscribe. I got a whole bunch of big interviews. I'm actually going to Houston soon, so I'm gonna try to do another interview with her, and that way it'll be in person, so y'all get to see us interact and things of that nature. So, y'all keep subscribing, and y'all already know the motto, man. Be different.
Hey, it's your boy King Trey here with Decoding, Two Sides of the System. I've been telling y'all that I got a big announcement. Well, it's here. I've now partnered with my first deal with the Clap app. And listen, all you gotta do is use my link. Boom, it's gonna be here, it's gonna be here, it's gonna be here, all down here. Listen, click the link. If you got any videos that you want to make reels out of, if you got any podcasts, gym content that you talking or anything, and you don't know how to make your own reels or your content creation, all you got to do is use my link, plug in your URL to your content, and it will make your reels for you. Listen, this is an opportunity for you to take whatever content you got to the next level. And with Clap, that's what we doing. We taking it to the next level. So I want to thank everybody that's been supporting me from day one, to all the people, all my new subscribers. Like I say, y'all not subscribers, y'all family members. The Be Different family is growing fast. And with the growth, we're now accomplishing new things. So I want to thank y'all for supporting me, growing with me. And listen, y'all make sure y'all tap in. I'm talking about, listen, I'm clapping. Hey, 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 it's there. Use the link and let me know you know what? Forget all that. I want to see who got the best content. Use my link, tag me in the content, and I'm going to throw you on the pod. That's what we doing. I'm gonna shout you out to all the family members. Whoever got the best content, that make the best content using the Clap app, is going on the pod, man. So y'all already know the motto, be different.